The air in Mbaike hummed with the familiar rhythm of village life. Children chased chickens through dusty paths. Women, their voices a melodic blend, traded gossip at the stream. Yet a hush fell whenever Mama Ikenga approached, her presence as potent as the cayenne pepper she liberally added to her stews. Mama Ikenga was a force. Her tongue, sharp as a machete, had felled many an opponent in verbal sparring. Her temper was legendary, quick to ignite like dry tinder. Villagers spoke of her with a mixture of fear and begrudging respect. She was a woman who knew her mind and did not hesitate to let it be known. Mama Ikenga ruled her small compound with an iron fist, her gaze sweeping over everything like a watchful hawk. Hers was a world steeped in tradition, where the old ways held sway. Her son, Ikenga, had left this world for the city, his absence leaving an ache in her heart. Now he was returning, bringing with him a whirlwind of change in the form of his new wife, Agnes. Mama Ikenga adjusted her headscarf, a flicker of apprehension in her eyes. She had heard whispers about Agnes, a woman of the city, rumoured to be as strong-willed as she was. A clash, she knew, was inevitable. The dust plume on the horizon heralded Ikenga's return. Excitement rippled through Mama Ikenga, momentarily eclipsing her apprehension. Her son, her pride, was back. She rushed to meet him, her heart swelling with a mother's love. Ikenga emerged from the car, taller now, his city clothes a stark contrast to the simple garb of the villagers. But it was the woman beside him who stole Mama Ikenga's breath away. Agnes. She stood tall, her eyes mirroring the vastness of the sky. There was a quiet confidence in her demeanour, a strength that resonated with Mama Ikenga even as it unsettled her. "Mama," Ikenga greeted, his voice thick with emotion. "This is Agnes, my wife. Mama Ikenga." Her face etched with years of hard work and sun studied Agnes. Agnes met her gaze, unflinching. The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, Mama Ikenga spoke, her voice gruff. "Welcome to Mbaike, Agnes. Let us hope the city hasn't softened you too much." Agnes smiled, a slow, genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Thank you, Mama Ikenga. I'm not so easily softened." The words hung in the air, a challenge and a promise. The battle lines, subtle yet potent, were drawn. Mama Ikenga, the seasoned warrior of tradition, and Agnes, the young lioness of change, circled each other, the air thick with anticipation. Life in Mbaike was a symphony of shared tasks and communal living. Agnes, accustomed to the city's anonymity, found herself thrust into a world where privacy was a foreign concept. Mama Ikenga, ever the watchful matriarch, observed Agnes's every move, her silence more potent than words. Clashes were inevitable. Agnes, with her city education, questioned age-old practices, suggesting new methods of farming and sanitation. Mama Ikenga, her voice laced with irritation, dismissed them as foolish whims. "We have always done it this way," she would retort, her tone brooking no argument. "It has served us well." Agnes, however, refused to be silenced. She engaged Mama Ikenga in debates, her arguments logical and persuasive. Mama Ikenga, used to deference, found herself both angered and secretly impressed by Agnes's audacity. Their disagreements were not confined to the practicalities of village life. They clashed over child-rearing practices, with Agnes advocating for gentler methods than the strict discipline favoured by Mama Ikenga. They argued about the role of women, with Agnes challenging the traditional subservience expected of daughters-in-law. Each clash was a tempest in a teapot, yet each one chipped away at the wall of resentment Mama Ikenga had erected around her heart. Agnes, with her unwavering spirit and kind heart, was slowly but surely earning Mama Ikenga's grudging respect. One scorching afternoon, as the sun beat down on Mbaika, Mama Ikenga sat outside her hut, fanning herself with a woven fan. Agnes approached, a gourd of cool palm wine in her hand. "Mama," she said, her voice soft, "would you care for some refreshment?" Mama Ikenga hesitated, surprised by the gesture. She accepted the gourd, taking a long sip of the sweet, tangy liquid. It was a small act of kindness, yet it spoke volumes. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound the gentle chirping of crickets. Then Mama Ikenga, in a rare moment of vulnerability, began to speak. She spoke of her childhood, of her marriage to Ikenga's father, of the joys and hardships of village life. Agnes listened intently, her heart touched by the older woman's candour. She, in turn, shared stories of her life in the city, of her family, her dreams. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the compound, a fragile bridge of understanding began to form between the two women. The shared stories, the quiet moments of companionship, began to chip away at the wall of prejudice Mama Ikenga had built around herself. She saw in Agnes not just a city woman with strange ways, but a woman of strength, compassion, and a deep respect for tradition. The rainy season arrived in Mbaika, bringing with it torrential downpours and the threat of floods. One night a fierce storm raged, the wind howling like a banshee. Mama Ikenga woke to a choking smell and the crackling of flames. Fire! Panic surged through her. The thatched roofs of the huts were tinder dry. She scrambled out, her heart pounding in her chest. The fire had engulfed Ikenga's hut. He and Agnes were trapped inside. The villagers, roused by the commotion, gathered around, their faces etched with fear. They formed a human chain, passing buckets of water from hand to hand, but the fire raged on, fueled by the wind. Then Agnes emerged from the inferno. Her clothes were torn, her face blackened with soot, but she was alive. She coughed, her voice hoarse. "Ikenga! He's still inside!" Without hesitation, Agnes turned back towards the flames. Mama Ikenga, her heart in her throat, watched in awe as Agnes disappeared into the inferno. It felt like an eternity before Agnes reappeared, dragging a semi-conscious Ikenga behind her. The villagers rushed forward, pulling them to safety. Mama Ikenga embraced her son, tears streaming down her face. Her gaze then fell on Agnes, who lay on the ground, her chest heaving. In that moment, any lingering doubt Mama Ikenga had about Agnes vanished. Agnes had risked her life to save her son. She had proven her courage, her love, her worth. The fire left its mark on Mbaika, but it also ignited a change in Mama Ikenga. As the villagers rebuilt, Mama Ikenga found herself seeking out Agnes, her gruff exterior softening. She began to listen to Agnes's ideas, recognizing the value in her modern knowledge. She watched as Agnes cared for Ikenga, her touch gentle yet firm. She observed how Agnes interacted with the villagers, her manner respectful yet confident. She saw the way Agnes embraced their traditions while gently challenging outdated practices. One evening, as they sat together, shelling peas, Mama Ikenga spoke, her voice gruff but sincere. "Agnes," she said, "I have misjudged you. You are a good woman, a strong woman. I am proud to have you as my daughter." Agnes, her eyes shining with unshed tears, reached out and took Mama Ikenga's hand. In that simple gesture, a bond was forged, a bond of respect, understanding and love. The news of Mama Ikenga's acceptance of Agnes spread through Mbaike like wildfire. The villagers, who had once viewed Agnes with suspicion, now greeted her with warmth and respect. Agnes had earned her place in their midst, not through subservience, but through her strength, her compassion, and her unwavering spirit. The dynamics within Mama Ikenga's compound shifted, a subtle dance between the old and the new. Agnes, ever respectful of Mama Ikenga's position as the head of the household, never sought to usurp her authority. Instead, she offered her opinions and suggestions with humility and grace. Mama Ikenga, in turn, began to listen. She found herself valuing Agnes's perspective, her ability to see beyond the confines of tradition. She embraced Agnes's ideas for improving sanitation, for introducing new farming techniques, for educating the village children. The villagers, witnessing this unusual harmony, marvelled at the change in their once formidable matriarch. Mama Ikenga, who had once been a staunch defender of the old ways, now embraced change, her mind open to new possibilities. This transformation did not happen overnight. There were still disagreements, moments of tension, echoes of the old clashes, but now they were tempered with respect, with a willingness to listen and learn from each other. The old ways were not discarded. They were honoured, respected, but also questioned, adapted and blended with the new. It was a delicate dance, a balancing act, but it was a dance that brought about a new vibrancy, a fresh perspective to the heart of Mbaike. The women of Mbaike, in particular, were inspired by the evolving relationship between Mama Ikenga and Agnes. They saw in them a reflection of their own lives, their own struggles to balance tradition with progress. Agnes, with her city education and modern outlook, became a role model for the younger generation. She encouraged them to pursue their education, to challenge societal norms, to strive for a better future. Mama Ikenga, on the other hand, remained a symbol of strength and wisdom, her roots firmly planted in the soil of tradition. She taught the younger women the importance of their heritage, the value of their culture, the strength that came from their collective history. Together, Agnes and Mama Ikenga formed a formidable duo. They complemented each other, their strengths bolstering the other's weaknesses. They showed the women of Mbaike that it was possible to honour the past while embracing the future. The true strength lay in unity, in bridging the gap between generations. Their influence extended beyond the women of the village. Men, too, witnessed the positive changes brought about by their collaboration. They saw the value in embracing progress, in listening to different perspectives. The transformation that began in Mama Ikenga's heart spread throughout Mbaike like ripples in a pond, touching every aspect of their lives. Years passed. Mbaike thrived, a testament to the power of unity and the strength of its women. Children born into this new era grew up with the wisdom of the old and the promise of the new. Mama Ikenga, her hair now as white as cotton, watched them with a sense of pride. Her fiery spirit had mellowed with time, replaced by a quiet contentment. Agnes, now a mother herself, had found her place in Mbaike, her heart forever bound to the village and its people. One evening, as the sky blazed with the colours of the setting sun, Mama Ikenga called Agnes to her side. "My daughter," she said, her voice weak but steady, "you have brought light into my life, into the life of this village. Never let the fire in your heart die out." Agnes, tears welling up in her eyes, nodded, her heart full. She knew that Mama Ikenga's words were not just for her, but for all the women of Mbaika, a reminder of their strength, their resilience, their power to ignite change. And so the legacy of the fiery old woman and her match lived on,